Here's a show off of my new subwoofer in my ST. This is a Rockford Fosgate P300-8p model. That means it's an 8-inch woofer and it's a ported enclosure right in there. And basically what I've done is this was super easy to wire up. I ran positive up to the battery through the firewall in the glove box compartment there, or behind the glove box compartment there. Ground, I ran around to that seat bolt right there. And then for speaker inputs, the nice part about this subwoofer is that it's a powered sub, amp and sub all in one. And I don't know if you can see there, but this has high level inputs as an option. So you can take directly from speaker level inputs. So that's basically what I did here. I just pulled the original wiring harness out of the stock subwoofer because I have an ST3, and I spliced it to make it connect right into the subwoofer there. And so I can quick disconnect this, put the factory sub back in if I wanted to. I don't want to. This thing bumps so good. And then in terms of bass control knob, I got these little right angle adapters for like $5 on Amazon. Runs forward, down under the seat, under the trim down here, all the way up to just in front of the seat belt basically there. Not sure if you can, yeah, right up there. You can see it just go under, goes under the seat, goes up into the side of the console there. I drilled a hole for it to go through right there. And then, yeah, you've got your bass knob right here. And from most positions, you can't even tell it's there. So it's a little bit of a undercover kind of deal. And then, yeah, same thing with the power cable down here. Ooh. Got that run, goes underneath, keeps coming underneath the trim here, pops out right up there, and then goes up into the firewall there. And it's kind of looking a little faded there, and that is because it's actually wrapped in a former reusable straw, a rubber one, and that's how I actually got it through the grommet. I poked a screwdriver into the grommet that had a piece of straw on it, and I was able to poke the straw through the grommet, which made it real easy to push that cable through. And then the cable comes out of the firewall right there, runs up. I've zip tied it to the little bits of, like, the little metal clips there. Zip tied it to this harness on the brake fluid reservoir. I had the cowl off when I ran this, so I just, well, you can actually just tuck it right up there. Zip tied it right here. I drilled a couple holes in the cowl right there. So I zip tied it right there. A little bit of VHB tape to stick it to the top of the fuse box there. And it is just connected to this little, connected to the battery on this little nut right there. Super easy, super simple. Didn't have to do a ton. And then another cool thing is that you don't have to run a remote turn-on cable, because you can just select audio, and then anytime the radio is on, it'll be powered. So like I just opened my front door and that kind of activated the stereo, and so it turned on, and then once it timed out, as it just did, it turned off. You've got your gain, your crossover, and your bass boost. And one of the other things I did is I cut up this floor mat I got at, or a like floor piece I got at a junkyard. And since I did that, since I got the little headphone jack turn piece down here, this should theoretically slide right into place, easily removable, just as the original is. And then same thing for the floor mat here, just slides right in. I did have to trim this up a little bit. It's a little shorter than it used to be because this sticks out 1.5 inches or 2 inches more this way than the old subwoofer did. Same thing this way, it sticks about 1.5 inches further back. And then about same height. You do have access to this space now, so I've stuffed a roll of shop towels back there. But yeah, it bumps pretty good. One other thing I forgot to mention is that this is the little offcut of the foam piece that I have. I cut it off just after the curve started here, and then just a little bit into that bin there, and I cut it off in the perfect way because it fits just perfectly right here and just perfectly back there. And this is all held up by a, as of right now, little 1-inch piece of foam board down there and a couple wooden shims to hold it up. We'll probably need a more permanent solution at some point, but this is just to try it out. And then yeah, that cable's from the stock subwoofer, just pulled it right out. Positive to the battery, negative to the seat bolt right there. Remote to the remote down there, and 2 of those little 90-degree headphone jack adapters, because that's how the remote bass knob is actuated, using just a standard headphone cable. 3.5 mil, I believe. And yeah, that allows it to just fit nice and flush. I kind of pushed these wires down so they go right underneath the floor. And one of the nice things about that is that when you have the floor installed as such, you barely have any cable sticking out, and it's only for a very short period of time before it goes under the floor into that little storage area. And then yeah, all the power cables are very, very hidden down there. And with that 90-degree adapter right there, everything fits super nicely, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out because there's no chance of getting anything snagged in there. The biggest problem is if you put something wet in, you might get debris in your woofer there, but if you play your music loud enough, it'll blow it all away.